Welcome back! This is your storyteller, and today's topic is the sparkliest pea in the universe. So picture this. It's 1969 and the world is going wild. Woodstock, hippies, the moon landing. It's humanity's golden age of ambition. NASA's shooting people into space with less computing power than your phone, and everyone's focused on the science, the rockets, and the glory. But there's one little awkward question that no one really talks about until it literally becomes a problem. What happens when an astronaut has to pee? You see, NASA had solved rocket trajectories and radiation shielding, but plumbing in space? That one slipped through the cracks. So instead of toilets, the early Apollo missions had these homemade-looking contraptions, basically glorified plastic bags with tubes. The world's bravest explorers were out there making history, all while holding onto what was essentially a science fair project attached to their suits. Now here's the fun part. Once those bags filled up, astronauts couldn't just keep them around. The spacecraft was tiny, and let's be honest, no one wanted their nostrils to experience that zero-gravity stink. So the solution was genius in a weird way. They'd open the hatch and toss the bags out into space. One small flick of the wrist, and humanity's latest waste problem went drifting into infinity. But here's where things got unintentionally spectacular. The moment the bags hit open space, they'd explode into countless frozen crystals. The pee would instantly turn into glittering ice shards, floating all around the spacecraft. You'd look outside and it was like flying through a field of golden stardust. The sun would hit it just right, and everything sparkled, swirling and shimmering like someone had rubbed cosmic fairy dust all over the place. The astronauts were stunned. Imagine being stuck in a metal capsule, lonely, quiet, thousands of kilometers from home, and suddenly you're surrounded by a sparkling, silent snow globe, made entirely out of your own, well, you know. Of course, the folks back at Mission Control weren't in on the joke yet. When the first report came through, it was priceless. Houston, we're seeing thousands of reflective particles floating outside the window, an astronaut would say. Copy that, Mission Control replied, and can you describe them? They're shiny, came the answer. I like to think there was a long silence on the radio before someone in Houston took a sip of coffee and muttered, "That's not cosmic dust, is it?" Because here's the crazy thing, scientists actually did start noticing strange reflections in Earth's orbit around that time. Telescopes picked up faint clouds of sparkling light that didn't match any known phenomena. People thought it might be mysterious cosmic particles, maybe asteroid fragments, or even signs of dark matter. But no, it was astronaut pee. Frozen waste glinting beautifully in sunlight, drifting like slow-motion fireworks above the planet. And get this, it turned out that those little ice particles weren't useless at all. By studying how sunlight reflected off them, scientists got valuable data on how light interacts with ice and dust in space. That helped explain why Saturn's rings shimmer, why comet tails glow, and even how light behaves in different atmospheres. In other words, the physics of something completely ridiculous, pea glitter, helped us better understand the cosmos. So yeah, you could say human waste pushed astrophysics forward. Every Apollo mission added more data, and soon enough, frozen clouds of astronaut pee were orbiting Earth like tiny accidental monuments to discovery. It's poetic, really. Our species reached for the stars, missed by a few liters, and still ended up teaching ourselves about the universe. Eventually, NASA built real space toilets, complete with suction, airflow, and all the high-tech magic you'd expect. But the old-school astronauts? They had stories no one else could tell. Imagine floating through the void looking out the window and seeing sunlight refracting off something you just released an hour ago, turning into the most beautiful accidental light show in human history. Somewhere out there, even now, those little frozen sparkles might still be orbiting, catching the sunlight for half a second before fading back into darkness. So, the next time you look up at the stars and spot something twinkling near the horizon, maybe it's not a satellite or space debris. Maybe, just maybe, it's a glimmer from one of those legendary Apollo missions. A reminder that even when humans make a mess, somehow, we turn it into starlight. And if that's not peak Earth energy, I don't know what is. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for hanging out with your storyteller. I drop a new fact every day. Go subscribe and watch your next story. Stay curious, one story at a time.